As you heard, Marty Elberg. I am the bucket list attorney. I think I'm the only one, so I'm just going to go with that. I'm a bucket list attorney. So go way back so you know a little bit about me. Grew up in a small town in Iowa, population of about 3,500, where I grew up on a farm. So I did all kinds of farm work growing up, from shoveling the pig pens, which means, you know, oh, everybody's done eating, right? So good. All right, so shoveling the pig pens, cleaning them out, and walking beans. Anybody know what walking beans is? No? Okay, you don't have a little leash and we don't walk them around. We actually had a hoe. So a hoe, like a sharp instrument. I walked down miles and miles of bean fields, just chopping and pulling out weeds. So I learned how to work pretty hard at a really young age. I was probably about 10 the first time I had to do that.
Hoeing ain't easy.
Hoeing ain't easy. That's right. Absolutely right. So from then I decided that farm work really wasn't for me. My dad always said, if you don't want to scoop all your life, you better keep your nose in the books. So I did. So I went out on a journey of my own, started my bucket list life, and started just traveling around. And I've lived in several different cities around the United States, did a study abroad program in Europe. So I've done quite a bit. And long story short, here I am now with my beautiful wife, and my son actually lives down the street from us, right here in our dream southern Florida, wherever we are. I was in Southern California, now we're in South Florida. We've got 2 kids. Taylor, he's 26, right? Yep. Yeah, and, and our 30-year-old who lives in Iowa, and best of all, our grandson, a year and a half. So, yes, and not Taylor's, thank God. So, that's me. All right, so why are we here? We all want to be a little bit happier in life, maybe get some more meaning, purpose, and satisfaction. Most of all, we want to live a life of no regrets. Okay? When we live a life of no regrets, we do everything we set out to do instead of putting it off till a later time. Tell you. So, we've all heard this term, work-life balance, right? Yeah? All right. So, work-life balance tells us, well, we have a bucket list and we've got a to-do list. Let's work on our bucket list or the fun stuff in life, and then we'll work on our to-do list and our professional list, and we'll balance it all out, right? Well, I call BS on that because it doesn't really always balance, because what usually ends up winning out? Work, right, your work life, your to-do life. So your bucket list life or your life that you want to live, a dream life, it usually gets pushed behind so we can work on our work life. So what we like to talk about is work-life blend. So we're going to mix those lists around. We're actually going to put your to-do list and your professional goals inside of your bucket list and not the other way around. So who's seen the movie The Bucket List? Great movie, right? Yeah. So it's about this couple of older guys. They get diagnosed with cancer. So they get their what we call the use-by date. You know when you buy a carton of milk, it says use by like January 15th, right? Well, it's passed, so I hope you're throwing it out. So that's a use-by date. And usually we're waiting to do the things we want to do till someday, maybe when I retire. You know, Robert, he did it. He made it. He made it to retirement. That's fantastic. So thanks. Thanks for showing us it can be done. But unfortunately, for a lot of us, that someday never comes. And these guys got a 6-month use-by date. So they created a bucket list to do all the things that they thought that they wanted to do. One was a family man and never made any time for anything but his family, which was fantastic. The other one was a serial entrepreneur, never made any time for anything but his businesses. And watch the movie and you'll see what happens. So it's a great message of don't wait until that someday. Make it happen now. So on your tables, you have what we call 80 squares. Why is it called 80 squares, you ask?
Why is it called 80 squares?
Thanks. So It's called 80 squares because the average life expectancy worldwide is about 80, okay? Approximately 80. And that does average between men and women. Women usually living a little longer than the guys. So you've got 80 squares there. There's a couple pins on the tables. Each row has 10 squares, and then there are 8 down. So for every year of your life, mark off a box. So if you're 40, just put a row right through the first top rows. All right, so what are your thoughts? Uh-oh, okay. Well, I got some bad news. I know I'm supposed to be the inspirational guy and the happy guy, but I got some bad news. We don't all make it that long, right? So who knows anybody that's had cancer? Just raise your hand if you know somebody that's been diagnosed with or died from cancer. All right, leave your hand up. How many people do you know that have been diagnosed or died of cancer? I've got to do hands, toes, feet, everything. Kind of the line of work I'm in, but anyway, right? So how many of those people made it to 80? Right. Not very many. Yeah. So it's just a visual reminder that that someday is not promised. So we don't want you to wait until tomorrow. Life is too short. Let's take advantage of it now. All right. So our bucket list is a tangible life plan. Remember, where our career plan or business plan fits inside of our bucket list and not the other way around. So now we're going to get back to the happiness, okay? I brought you down. Now let's be happy, all right? So I'm going to teach you four tricks to get in a happy mood every day, okay? I know I don't wake up when I'm happy every day, but I do have a routine that I go through that does make me happy every day. I don't know how many people. Are you always this happy? Well, no, not when I wake up. But I can make myself happy. And you can create your own happiness too. So the first one is an exercise in physical happiness. So everybody, I want you to do this, all right? I'm not going to make you run a 5K or get up and jump around. It's not going to be anything like that. But I do want you to follow this, all right? I just want you to do this. Hold it for 5 seconds. All right. So that is our physical exercise in creating happiness. Did anybody get a sensation of, yeah, I accomplished something, I won? Yeah? All right, if you don't, keep practicing. So when I run, and I haven't been running for a while, but when I run, I have an imaginary finish line. And every time I'm done with my run, I put my hands up, and people around me are like, what's he looking at? It's true, he knows. So do something to make your brain think you've accomplished something, okay? That's just a little exercise. Next, we have mental happiness. So I know we can all do this. Can everybody snap? And if you can't snap, just fake it. Just fake it, all right? All right, so what I want you to do is I want you to snap 25 times. So count, okay? You can count out loud or to yourself. Whoa! See? And Dave even puts it with the yeah, I finished it. All right, so that's mental happiness. You've accomplished a task. You've accomplished a small thing in life that everybody can do. So if you're feeling down and you're like, I can't do anything, I'm a loser, I just lost this job, I lost this case, I set something up wrong. Do this 25 times. You did it right, right? Give yourself a win for the day, a win for 5 minutes, a win for an hour, whatever it is. Give yourself a win. And then go, yay, and hold your hands up for 5 seconds. All right, next is emotional happiness, right? Who doesn't love a little kitty or dog or dolphin or giraffe or whatever it is? Whatever gives you some type of emotional gratitude, find a picture. Just Google something that day. If you're sitting on your computer and you're having a rough day, Google a nice picture or have a picture beside you and look at it. Look outside. I love looking outside, especially when we're up here, right? So here's mine. That's my grandbaby. So, yeah. So if I ever feel like, and I'm flipping through my phone, I'm like, that's my boy right there, my grandbaby, my GB. So that's mine. Right? It's awesome, right? His mom's pretty stylish, so she's always got something good. Yeah. All right, social happiness. So right now, I know most speakers, when they're up here, they want your total undivided attention. I'm going to ask every one of you to get your cell phone out right now, for real. And I want you to randomly select somebody in your contacts and just say, hi, I love you, or thank you, or just thinking about you. Just randomly select somebody. It can be your wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever you got, friend, somebody you haven't talked to in a while, and just say, hey, just thinking about you, what's going on? Or thank you, or I love you. Usually the I love yous are easy. So, and you're going to get a response, but you don't have to respond to them. You can tell them about it later, okay?
I text my wife, I love her, she's going to be like, what are you up to?
Exactly. No, I've had this happen before. People are like, oh, my dad's like, is everything okay? My husband's like, what's going on? My brother is like, well, I haven't talked to you in a year. What's up?
You need to call Gregory Todd to post your bail?
Right? All right, so is everybody done with that? Okay, it doesn't have to be like a paragraph, just, hey, I love you, what's up? All right, so when we give something nice, we get something back. So when we say thank you to somebody, or that's a beautiful dress, or that's nice shoes, beautiful tie, you know, all these things, we're making somebody else feel good. In turn, it does make us feel good. So we can do it for a selfish reason. We can do it to make ourselves happy. It's okay, really. It's okay to make somebody happy so you can feel happy. Okay? Everybody got that? All right? So what's this have to do with bucket list? I'm sure you're saying. So we use the MYBUCKETLIST Blueprint as bucket list coaches. And it's based on all of these principles and more. All right, so MYBUCKETLIST Blueprint, it's an acronym, 12 letters. Most people think of travel when they think of a bucket list. Not here. Like I said, we're going to touch all those areas. We're going to touch pretty much everything that you've thought of and probably a couple more. So here is the list right there. Meet a personal hero, your proud achievement. Buy that something special. Ultimate challenge, conquer a fear, kind acts for others, express yourself, take a lesson, leave a legacy, idiotic stuff, satisfy a curiosity, and travel adventures. I'm going to go through a couple of these, just give you a couple examples. So meet your personal hero. So my personal hero that I put on my bucket list board, we've got a program where we actually create a vision board of your bucket list. So meet your personal hero. I put Sir Richard Branson on there. I always thought he was an awesome business guy. Always looks like he's having fun. He owns his own island, for crying out loud. So Virgin Airlines, Virgin Records, all that good stuff. So I'm like, I want to meet this guy. So I put him on my vision board, having no idea how I was going to meet him. Because how would you, right? That's not how we set goals. We don't set goals and then go, oh, I know exactly how to do that. That's not a goal. That's a target, and you know how to get there. So setting a goal, we want to put it far enough out that we got to figure out how to do this. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to meet Richard Branson, so I put it out there. So then I have to go learn how I'm going to meet Richard Branson. So I looked up what he was doing, where he was doing any public speaking engagements, any time he was going to be in public and where he was going to be. I was willing to travel just to meet him, even if it was just, hey, how you doing, what's up? So I'm watching for Sir Richard, watching for news that comes up, and nothing. And then finally, about 3 months later, he's not speaking anywhere, and wherever he was speaking, it was like $100,000, and I want to meet him, but not that bad. So I just kept watching the news, and finally, not literally watching the news, but watching for news articles about him. Finally, I see something that Virgin is buying Brightline. the little railroad that's going from Palm Beach to Miami. Like, all right, awesome. So I signed up for their newsletter thinking he always does public appearances when he buys a company, right? He does, because I researched it and I knew that. So I watched and watched and watched, and about a month later, there was an email that said, hey, Sir Richard's going to take the train from Palm Beach to Miami. If you want to get on the train ride with him, jump on. So I was like, all right, clear my schedule. So it was like 3 days later. I was like, clear my schedule in the afternoon, got my ticket, jumped on board here in Fort Lauderdale, and got down there. And he had already walked through the train, so had to wait till we got down there to Miami. And sure enough, he came out. Everybody was gathered around. His entourage brought him. He did this little photo op where he always picks his legs up. It's kind of funny. It's what he does. And comes out. He just does a little meet and greet. So he's saying hi to everybody, shaking people's hands, taking pictures with them. And so now it's my turn. So I'm like, hey, Sir Richard, thanks. It's so awesome to meet you. It's really great what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. It's small talk, right? And he's like, oh, great, thanks. Take a picture? Yeah, sure. So I'm getting ready to take this picture. And this guy just barges right in between us. So I didn't get my selfie. He's like, hey, Sir Richard, sign my shirt. I think he had a couple drink on the way down. I'm not sure, but I think so. And he had his poster. He's like, sign my poster, Richard for president. And then his security took him away. It's like, oh, I didn't get my picture. So I'm like, I'm not giving up that easy. So Sir Richard, his people are taking him, and there's a big escalator. So they put him on the escalator. I'm like, all right, I can make it down. So I run down the bottom of the stairs.
He's in Miami?
Yeah, in Miami, yeah, at the Brightline station. And I get there, I'm like, all right, I'm ready. Sir Richard, give me a smile. Click. I got the picture.
All right.
And you could see it if I would have brought the right slides, right? So anyway, I got the picture. So check out my Facebook page and you can see it, all right? Bucket List Coach Marty Elbert. They're there. All right, so that's meet your personal hero. Sometimes they're fun like that. Sometimes it's just like, oh yeah, I had lunch with so-and-so. And a personal hero doesn't have to be a celebrity. It can be a relative. It can actually be somebody that's dead, okay? So if you know you have a relative out there and you never got a chance to meet them, you can go visit their grave. A lot of people find that very, very moving and touching. A lot of people go to Jim Morrison's grave like outside of Paris. So they make a trip out there to go do that. So
And talk to people who knew them when they were alive, who could tell you about them.
absolutely, yeah, exactly. So it can be anybody. So there's doesn't have to be limited to celebrities, and that's what most people think of with heroes, okay? Next, we have your proud achievement. So what, if you were to accomplish it during your lifetime, would make you proud, would make you go, yeah, I did it. So that's a proud achievement. It doesn't have to be something huge. It can be something small, just like our little finger clapping, or finger snapping thing. So set a goal. Set a big goal, set a medium goal, and set a small goal. Something that you can get. Something that you can give yourself gratitude for. And that's why I did the little happiness things. That's something we accomplished in a short amount of time that we can give ourselves gratitude for. All right? Buy that something special. It's about the only materialistic one on here. And it doesn't even have to be materialistic because it can be buy something special for someone. So it doesn't even have to be for yourself. Okay? Little story about this. So I did a bucket list program, and one of my participants always wanted to brew beer, so he bought a brew beer kit, like a home brewing kit. It's like 25, 30 bucks or something like that, so it's not a big deal. So it doesn't have to be extravagant. It's not like buy yourself a Rolex or a Ferrari. If that's what you want, and it's not going to break the bank, super. But he bought a home brew kit. And he did it because he thought that would be a perfect experiment or a perfect little activity to do with his dad. Because usually when his dad comes over, they end up watching TV and they're in the living room and everybody else is around. He knew the kids wouldn't want anything to do with it. His wife definitely didn't want anything to do with it. So it was time for he and his father to spend together to brew the beer. Since then, he's gotten 4 more of them, and he's only had 2 bad batches, so that's pretty good. So he got to spend all this extra time with his dad that he never would have gotten to spend had he not seen this little buy that something special. Okay? So simple little things can make such a huge impact. Next, we have ultimate challenges. So ultimate challenge, usually we're talking about a physical challenge, whether it's running a 5K, just getting up in the morning for some people, right? Losing weight. One of mine was lose or get to my goal weight, which was 225. I was about 269 at the time. So I got down to 225, and I maintained it for about 1.5 years, and now I'm going for that. So full gulp now, right? So I'm just doing a little bit more now. So it's just, it's been a challenge, and I can't even believe how much better my life is because I've lost that much weight. You know, I don't have the joint pains, I breathe better, I can do more activities, and I was always very active, and I always thought, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. And the first picture, I think that was 20 pounds in, so I think I'd lost like 20 pounds, and now I'm down at 40, so that's good. Ultimate challenge, like I say, 5K, could be a marathon for some people. I had one participant that's like, he wants to run 100 miles all in one day. Super, go for it. Because we also have our effort list. I'm not going to say it on camera, but you know, that's the things that it's like, no, not a chance, not going to do it. Like climb Mount Everest. No, no, don't have any desire to do that. So that's on my effort list. Not even going to think about it. So my list doesn't have to be your list. Don't compare lists. It's just whatever is personal to you, that's what should be on your list. Conquer a fear. Most people have some fears. Some people are afraid of heights. They come here, they won't even look over the side. Why? They're not going to fall. It's just a fear. Is it real? It is for them. But if they can conquer that fear, they're open to a whole new world. I had one guy who was deathly afraid of heights, but he was also very connected with a charity. And their charity drive was called Over the Edge. And I don't think we can see the Uniform Advantage, or no, that's Uniform Advantage, the building on the other side there. It's like AutoNation, there you go. AutoNation, it's like 17 stories high, and you rappel, literally rappel off the side of the building. But you have to raise money to do it. And he refused. He was like, I want to raise money, but I'm not going to do that. Deathly afraid of heights. And we got to this letter, and he was like, I'm going to do it. Put his hands up in the air like he's a victory. And that was before I was even talking about this victory stuff. And he said, I'm going to do it. And he committed. And he got a team. And then I was like, all right, I'll do it too. So he inspired me to do it. I'm not afraid of heights. I love that stuff. So I was like, sure. This is raising the money. I was like, all right, I can do it. So he combined that with the next one down, which is kind acts for others. Kind acts for others can be helping somebody across the street, playing backgammon with them when they're just sitting around being bored, you know? I love you, Robert. So, no, really, kind acts for others can be anything. It can, raising money to just doing something nice for somebody, sending a nice text. I love you. Thank you. You know, it doesn't have to be huge. So anyway, back to Conquer Fear. He raised the money, went over the edge, and thought it was absolutely amazing. Fear gone. Non-existent. 2 months later, he went skydiving. Wow. Yeah. So he is a totally different person when it comes to talking about fear of heights. He has none. He's like fearless now just because of this little exercise that we do. Okay? So kind acts for others, express yourself. It can be anything from dance to painting to poetry, public speaking, singing, whatever you want. Whatever made you happy back in the day. Remember when we were kids and we used to love to do things? And then we went to school, then we got a job, and that stuff got in the way of us having fun, doing things we loved. expressing ourselves, whatever that was. It's time to bring it back. Think back to something that you loved doing, but it just got put aside because it's like, I don't have time for this anymore. Even though it gave you so much joy, bring it back. Sometimes it's really easy. It's like riding a bike. Take a lesson. So if you forgot how to do it, go ahead and take a lesson about how to do it. Take a lesson on speaking another language, on becoming a great trial attorney. David doesn't need to take those lessons, but I was just looking at him because it's like, he's good with that, right? So take a lesson in something you've always been interested in, but just haven't done because, again, life or your job got in the way. Leave a legacy. That's what tied me to this whole bucket list thing in the first place. So I saw Travis Bell, who's the bucket list guy. He he started the bucket list coaching programs. And I saw him speak a few years ago, and he brought up leave a legacy. I'm like, I do estate planning. That's leaving a legacy. That's brilliant. And I started merging them together. And then I saw him the next year, and he said, I'm going to start a bucket list coaching program. I'm like, I'm in. So that's how I got here. I tied them together, and now I say, you know, I'm the bucket list attorney. It's way more fun to talk about being the bucket list attorney than I'm an estate planning attorney. I plan for you to die, right? So people are like, oh, bucket list attorney, what's that? So yes, it is a little bit of a conversation starter. So that's what it's all about. Leave a legacy. It can be anything, but definitely should be your estate plan. So a will, a trust, whatever you're going to do to make sure your family's taken care of. That's what we want to do. Could be a real estate empire. Could be a recipe book or writing a book. I had one person that had a whole bunch of t-shirts that she had saved from her kids all the time that they were growing up, and she just had them sitting in a trunk. She made a quilt out of them. That's a legacy, right? She also made a video or a recording of her singing all the little songs that she used to sing her kids when they were growing up. So that's leaving a legacy. Idiotic stuff. It's a lot of fun to think about all the idiotic stuff we did in the past, but sometimes it's hard to think about some idiotic stuff that we want to do in the future. Like jumping over a building, jumping out of a perfectly good airplane. Cliff diving is on mine. Yeah, just want to. Zip lining, yeah. Depends on where you are, especially in Colombia on the rickety little things. I did that. That was good. That was fun. So just strange little things that get your heart beating. It could be axe throwing. So there's a bunch of axe throwing places. I don't know if they're open back up yet, but axe throwing just came out. There's a Wreck-It room where you can go in and break stuff. Pretty idiotic, but you know, satisfying. So open your mind. Let yourself be a little dumb. It's okay. Keeps us young. All right, satisfy curiosity. What have you always thought about? So, you know, a lot of people think of things that, you know, we're not going to talk about right now, but we're all adults. Just use your adult minds and think of those things. Those always get brought up as well. DNA. What's your DNA origin? So I'm adopted, and I always wondered what my ancestry was. I was brought up being Norwegian and Swedish. My dad's from Sweden. My mom's from Norway. I've been to Norway, visited my relatives there several times, met a lot of my Swedish relatives, and I was, you know, I'm kind of big. I'm like a Norwegian, and I just accepted that's what I was because they told me, well, you're Norwegian and Swedish and a little bit Irish. So I'm like, oh, okay, perfect, and I just lived with that. And then Ancestry.com came around, and it became more and more popular. I was like, I'm going to try this out. So I signed up for Ancestry.com, sent my DNA in, spit in this little vial. It's really technical. You spit in the vial, literally. You send it off, and it tells you every step of the way what it's doing. Hey, we got your sample. Hey, we sent it out for testing. Hey, we got your results back. And then they give you this map of where you're at. I had 0% Norwegian, 5% Swedish, and mostly Scottish, Welsh, Irish, everything, a little bit German, a little bit French, but like nothing south of North Germany, I think. So it was like way over here. Like, I was disappointed. I was. So I didn't really look at the results any further until about after Thanksgiving, so it was about a week later. And then I remembered, oh yeah, I signed up for the genetic match, so you can match relatives. And so I opened up my email, and I'm like, get this message from this lady, and she's like, hey, we're putting our family tree together. Do you know your parents? So we can get them all matched up. I'm like, no, I was adopted. I was born in 1968, Denver General Hospital. If anybody knows anybody that gave anybody up for adoption, that could be me. So I wrote that, sent it off to her. She sends it back, says, I don't know anybody like that, but you should speak to so-and-so. Like, oh, okay. So I did. Sent off the message, same thing. Da-da-da-da. Born in Denver General Hospital. If you know anybody that gave anybody up for adoption, that could be me. She writes back, says, oh, wow. We've been anticipating your arrival on Ancestry.com since we joined 3 years ago. And by the way, I'm your mom. Bam, that easy. And I'd waited 50 years to figure this out. So it was always a curiosity. I didn't have a missing spot. I had great parents. But I know there are so many adopted kids out there that are just struggling because they think there's something missing. And it's so easy to satisfy that curiosity now. The technology is there. You know, even if they can't get it through Ancestry.com, there are other ways to do it. I actually ordered my birth certificate and did all this stuff, thinking it's not going to be that easy. But it was. And it could be that easy for you to satisfy any curiosity that you have. Okay? So just think about it and do something about it. Totally.
It inspired me to do that. It was very cool.
Yeah. It's just
6% Senegalese.
I don't even know what that is, but that sounds
Africa,
fantastic.
man.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Most of it wasn't a surprise, but that was a surprise.
All right. So our last one is travel adventures. Not going to spend any time on that because you all know what travel is. And it can be something as, well, I'm going to spend a couple seconds on it. I lied. It can be something as simple as be a tourist in your own backyard to taking a first-class flight, cruise, whatever you want around the world. So just go out there, enjoy life, have fun, and take action on everything. That's what it takes. You can make a list, but until you take action on it, you got nothing. All right? So thank you very much. I hope this has inspired you to do at least one of the things on the list. Have a great day.